Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Originally envisioned in 1963 as a NASCAR track of all things, tonight's venue has morphed much since then, debuting as a road course in 1965 and seeing the one completed high bank turn removed and the layout going from a counterclockwise to a clockwise circuit before Japan's first ever Formula One race was held there in 1974, and then becoming one of the best known race courses in the world when Namco brought pole position to the local arcade and Atari brought it to your living room back in 1982. But tonight we race the Herman Tilke designed layout that was introduced in 2005. Welcome everyone to Fuji Speedway for round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech, World Challenge presented by Performa Elite and Buttkicker here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, and joining me in the announce booth as always is Larry Lefty McLeod along with Lee Thompson, who's going to be bringing you all the best views of tonight's action from our virtual production trailer. And so, good evening, Larry. And you know, it's been a while since we've been to Fuji. Season number 5.
It has been a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
It's good to be back in the land of the rising sun and to the world's longest straightaway, or at least it seems.
It seems, yeah. It actually puts Summit Point straightaway to shame, or maybe Le Mans for that matter.
Yes.
You know, and you know, we when we ran Fuji for the very first time here in the World Challenge, it was right after it was added to the iRacing platform. And besides that incredibly long straight and the speed that comes there, but you know, it's going to be a challenge for the drivers. I think, you know, we've got blind entries, we've got tight hairpins, we've got decreasing radius turns and off-camber exits.
It's a very awkward track from a driver's perspective. There's no real rhythm to this place. You go through the section like what we're kind of looking at here through this turns 10, 11, 12. Essentially, it's a tiny little chicane that's more or less a right-hander, but the chicane is so tight, both in and out of it. And then you come around to the whole 13 through 16 complex, and it's just a giant blind over these little crests and turns. Very awkward for a car setup and very awkward for a driver, but if you can get it right, there's some time there. What'll make it interesting is when you start to race through that section, there's a lot of moves you can make to get track position on a driver that aren't natural. So there'll be a lot of passing opportunities for our drivers through there that makes things interesting. And then, of course, leading on to the longest straightaway in all of Asia, I think.
Yes, maybe in all of Asia.
To get a good exit. Yes, so we'll leave it at that. But absolutely a crazy, kind of a weird, awkward track, but legendary. A lot of important historical races have been held here, and we get to have a pretty good night of multi-class racing. And I'm looking forward to the start of this thing.
Yeah, I am too, Larry. And, we'll talk about this a little bit later as maybe as we get into qualifying. We have a number of additions with the latest updates to the iRacing platform for the current season. We've had 2 more GTP platforms introduced, so going from 2 chassis to 4 different chassis, and we also have a new GT3 car in the mix thanks to Ferrari. But let's do this. Let's first turn things over to Kevin Ford. He's going to give us tonight's track guide, as he does always here in the Ricmotech World Challenge, and we'll come back and talk about some of those changes. Hand it over to you, Kevin Ford.
Welcome, everyone, to the incredible Fuji Speedway located here at the foothills of Mount Fuji in Japan. An incredible course here, opened in 1965. 16 turns, 2.8 miles is what it takes to get a lap done around here. Well, let's head up the front straightaway. As you'll notice, our main large grandstands to the left here, our pit entry to the right. Very long front straightaway here, and this is the best opportunity for slipstream here at Fuji. This is the big straightaway at this course. Heading down into the turn 1 area here, we'll be coming in at a very high rate of speed, heavy on the brakes, down through the gears here. Real tight rotation there in through turn 1. This will bring us out through turn 2, very wide section, up through this little short chute and uphill into this blind entry of turn 3. This is a fast entry here. We'll track out wide, come right back to throttle, down through turn 4. Be careful here, as this will bring us into turn 5. Want to let the car rotate, come right back to the right to set up our entry into the blind entry of turn 6 here. Wrapping that car down into the bottom of that corner. We'll track out up into 7. This will bring us into a very fast double right-hand downhill section of 8 and 9. Boy, this leads to a very heavy brake zone here. Turn 10. This one is a doozy. You really got to get that car slowed down to get back to the right, and then back to the left through 11, up through 12. And we'll come right back to the right here for 13. This is going to bring us into a very tight drop off down into the apex of 14, and then we're busy once again right back to the left here through 15, up over that apex, up through this very wide entry of turn 16. Get that car to rotate right to the bottom, come to throttle, race right up off the track out of the exit. And there you go. Boy, it is busy around here. The incredible Fuji Speedway. Heading down the front straightaway one more time, you can see a lot of speed picked up here and overtaking for certain on the front straight. There you go. There's your track guide for the amazing Fuji Speedway. Thank you for being with us.
All right, thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Fuji Speedway. And Larry, I could hear it in Kevin's voice, how hard he was just, I don't want to say hanging on for dear life, but he was having to muscle that car around. Everything that we said leading into the track guide, I think, rang true in that one lap. So I can only imagine what it'll be for 75 minutes as these racers have to not only fight Fuji Speedway, but have to worry about mixed class racing as well. It should make a very challenging evening here in the World Challenge, to say the least. All right, so as we get ready, and we're going to bring in our guest tonight here somewhat early, Larry, as qualifying has just started. But as I mentioned, we do have in the GTP class a couple of new platforms that have just come on board, and we've had a number of drivers that have migrated to those platforms. Of course, we started originally last season with the BMW M Hybrid V8, and then we were joined by the Cadillac V Series R. But as of last week, in the championship now, we have both the Acura ARX-06 GTP machine, as well as, and there we go, and kind of ruining the plot there, driving the number 963 Porsche 963 GTP, Tanner Dibble. They're a beautiful looking car, and I think the Porsches, matter of fact, had a lot of good luck this weekend at Indianapolis with IMSA. So we'll see if they have the same kind of luck with their drivers here at Fuji.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Another new platform in the mix. I think this class continues to develop, and it's pretty cool that we've got all these new ones jumping in, and we get to kind of see how they where their strengths and weaknesses just might be.
That's right. And as I mentioned, the GT3s, we have a new, I don't want to call it a replacement Ferrari platform, but for all intents and purposes, that's what it is. Joining us now in the series is the Ferrari 296 GT3, and I believe that the majority of our Ferrari drivers, like Chuck Labano right here, has moved over to that beautiful platform from the previous platform, from the I guess the 488 GT3. So we'll see there is Chuck and Larry. For our viewers, they get a look into the mind's eye of some of our drivers here starting this week. That we've got cameras set up, I think, with 8 or 9 different drivers this weekend, like Chuck Labano, who we can see him, but with those virtual reality goggles on, he can't see us. It appears.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. But yeah, we actually get a little bit of insight to see what are these drivers seeing in the reality of as opposed to all virtual. So it should be fun to watch. A look inside a Russ Ruddock sim rig there.
That's right. There's Russ working with triple screens there. He is working his currently working his second flying lap. Let's do this, Larry. We've got qualifying going on here. Just quickly, we'll point out so you can tell the differences in the different classes. Of course, the GTP cars, I think, are pretty self-explanatory when you see them on track. All the GTP cars, they are going to have black number boards and windshield banners and mirrors and probably end plates on their wings, much like Lucas Sidor right now driving the number 19 Cadillac, I believe, out of the Czech Republic, or probably not. No, I'm sorry, not Czech Republic, from Poland. There and. So those are all black. But if we move over to the GT3 cars, we have 2 different classes. We've got our pro drivers and we've got our AM drivers in GT3. And if we take a look at the pro classes, like Michael Brooks in the Wrong Stuff Porsche, the number 83 machine, our pro drivers have, and Larry, I've been asked this week to refer to the color of the number boards and windshield banners and end plates, etc., as Ricmotech red. So they are all with Ricmotech red. Then you can pick the cars out that way, the mirrors as well. Whereas our GT3 AM drivers, much like Leo Dragota here in the Dragon Sport Porsche, they are green. No Ricmotech green there, or Kermit the Frog green, I guess. Green mirrors, number boards, windshield banners, and end plates on the wings. And we'll switch over to Alex Brown here in the number 67 machine. And we'll come back in just a few moments and check in and see where we are time-wise. In the meantime, we'll have our timing tower up on the left-hand side of your screen while our drivers compete in qualifying here, trying to set the fastest lap they can and set the grid for tonight's race. We give our drivers 4 flying laps over a time of 15 minutes in order to set that fast lap, and many of our drivers are working their 4th and final flying laps at the moment. But let's do this, Larry, while our drivers are busy working their way up the grid. let's talk to our interview guest this week. Doing things a little bit different this time around. No driver pre-race, but we are going to bring in Zach Jenkins. Zach is the community manager at Buttkicker, who is with us once again as a sponsor this weekend. We want to thank Buttkicker, and we'll talk about it's a great prize that they have for our drivers again this season. But welcome to the World Challenge, Zach.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so Zach, I know we obviously we love having Buttkicker involved with this series, but so how did Buttkicker get linked up with these guys and be able to offer such great prizes?
Yeah, so we started out as a solution for like musicians, for drummers and bassists especially. And then over the years, we started to hear about more like gamers using our stuff, and we thought that was really cool. And then we noticed that a lot of sim racers were buying our stuff, so we started to sponsor leagues and kind of immerse ourselves in the community. And that's whenever we realized that like sim racing and Buttkicker just go hand in hand because of everything that we're able to do for sim racers.
Sure, and really what it is for the folks who maybe not familiar with it, it's an added to your sim rig. It's a way to get an extra feel, literally an extra feel of the noise vibration of the car on track that you can't get otherwise. It's one kind of piece, that extra sensation that often is missing from your sim rig. But you guys have now gotten, I think we're on our second season now with Buttkicker, a part of this series. And you guys have been offering a prize to one winner. I know we gave one away last season. I think you guys are giving away another this season. Is that right?
We're giving away a Gamer Plus unit. And that's going to really be perfect for anyone who gets it. And I really like how the league offers it as a drawing for every driver. I think that's really cool, and I think any driver who gets the chance to start racing with a Buttkicker is gonna really love how that changes everything for them.
So I gotta ask, are you a sim racer yourself, or you come from more of maybe the music background there at Buttkicker?
Yeah, so I'm definitely a pretty light hobbyist. We have a rig at the studio, and I make a lot of the content, so I'm constantly back there driving with it. I'm not racing in any leagues or anything, but I love the feeling that it adds to the whole setup.
Sure. Well, one of these days we'll get you in, maybe into some of these races on our Monday nights, and you can be out there racing against Bobby and the rest of the gang here. I'm sure that
Yeah.
I'm sure you'd have a good time with these guys.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Is there anything else? Any kind of new things coming along from Buttkicker that maybe we ought to be aware of?
We've got some stuff in the works, but I would also add that with the Gamer Plus, we're giving away our Haptic Connect Ultimate software. So that will take the telemetry from any of your sim racing games and transfer that telemetry into accurate feedback through the Buttkicker. So like you'll feel things like wheel slip, wheel lock, engine, suspension, all kinds of useful, detailed information.
Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, can't wait for that. So very cool. We definitely appreciate Buttkicker's involvement this season. I know we're looking forward to giving away another one of the prizes here at the end of the season. We're just getting things started only here in round two. But glad you're able to join us, and maybe hopefully you're enjoying the shows and you're watching us each and every week.
Absolutely. Happy to join you guys, and I'm looking forward to a good night of racing.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Zach, and appreciate it. And you get to see it. You can sit back and watch tonight's race and enjoy the show.
Thanks, guys.
All right, and as Zach mentioned, we're going to be giving away a Buttkicker Gamer Plus package to one lucky driver at the end of the season. The better they do during the season, the better their chances are of winning that Buttkicker Gamer Plus package valued at $279.95. And of course, we want to send a big thank you out to Buttkicker for providing, once again, such a wonderful prize. If you want to turn up the immersion in your sim rig, visit thebuttkicker.com for more details. All right, so Larry, let's move over now and check in on qualifying, as the majority of our drivers across the classes have already put in their flying laps. We're on board right now with Ken Copeland in the number 15 Mercedes. representing Team Esport Racer. He is on his fourth and final flying lap right now. Currently, I think qualified a little bit further down in the order than he might have expected in a GT3 Pro. Currently qualified 5th. And as he comes across the line, he does not improve. He was looking, and things are really tight, Larry. You know, we were saying he's a full second off, but you look the top 4 drivers ahead of him, all within a couple hundredths of, or probably a couple tenths of a second of one another. And so Copeland's going to end up starting 5th in Pro, as we are now on board with a brand new driver to the World Series this season, and actually I believe this race. I don't believe he was with us for round number 1, driving the BMW M4 GT4. It's Kamal Katzovic, and he is working his last lap. He's currently qualified 9th in GT3 AM in the BMW M4 GT3. Looking to move up in the order, very closely matched with driver ahead, Bruno Belny out of France. Bruno has a 142.24 in the books, just about 4 tenths up on Katazovic.
Yeah, it's great to see a lot of more names, more faces coming into this. Literally faces, as we've got the live looking cameras here tonight. So we'll get to see a little bit of everybody. There's a good shot there of Ben Rose. He's been with us now for a little more than a season. As he's out there in his Cadillac.
That's right. And so Ben finished 2nd in the opening round at Daytona. And Larry, this might be as good a time as any, since we've only got about a minute left in qualifying here. Just run down how we finished things up 3 weeks ago at Daytona, where Bailey Petrowski from Petro West Racing in his Cadillac took the win. About a 5-second margin over Ben Rose, who finished in 2nd, with Ryan Reisman in another Cadillac finishing in 3rd. Then we had Ryan Reeves from SRT Esport, who I believe is moving to the Acura platform here this week. He finished 4th, with Bobby Childs finishing on the lead lap and finishing 5th in GTP. If we take a look over at the GT3 classes, in GT3 AM, Leo Dragota from Dragon Sport in his Porsche 911 took the win, with Dre Divock and Jeff Brooks, the 2 Wrong Stuff drivers, rounding out the podium. Both of those drivers also in Porsche 911s. The first non-Porsche was Jackson Detmer from Elevated Esports in his BMW M4. He finished 4th, with Chuck Labano, who we saw just a little bit earlier, finishing in 5th. And then finally in GT3 Pro, Mike Dam, back to his old habits, taking the win in the Orion Racing BMW M4 GT3, with Chris Thorman from D2D E-Racing in his Ferrari 488. Finishing on the 2nd step of the podium, with Augustin Castro for the Wrong Stuff in his Porsche 911, taking the bronze. And then it was 3 Orion racers finishing 4th, 5th, and 6th in their BMWs: Robert Hartley, Travis Schwenke, and Orion owner Frosty St. Clair in his first outing here in the World Challenge.
All right, looks like we've got our grid just about to get ready and get things underway here for round 2.
All right, and there we go, flashing up on the screen. Let's take a look at the starting order for GTP, and we will be running a split start with the GTP cars taking the green first from our real live starter, and then the GT3 cars. Your pole sitter tonight from Aerokinetics Racing and from Poland, driving the number 19 machine, it's Lucas Sidor in his Cadillac. Bailey Petrowski, a round 1 winner. He was only 0.8 of a second off of Sidor's qualifying time. The Petro West Racing driver will start on the outside of row number 1. Tanner Dibble from DNA Motorsports making his debut here at the World Challenge. He's driving the new Porsche 963. It's the number 963 car, starting 3rd. Starting 4th, Ben Rose from DNA Motorsports. Dibble's teammate will start fourth in the number 5 machine. Ryan Reisman, also from DNA Motorsports, he'll start 5th, with Ryan Reeves from SRT Esports starting 6th. Then we've got Ian Patience from the Wrong Stuff, I believe our only Wrong Stuff prototype driver here this evening. He will start 7th, with Eduardo Lorente from Courage Motorsports starting in 8th. Then we've got Aaron Beaver from Aerokinetics. He's going to start 9th on the field, with Bobby Childs from D2D starting in 10th. And then rounding out the 12-car field, we've got Adam Ross driving the number 72 Cadillac, and Bill Mulfield driving one of the new Porsche 963s. He will start in 12th.
All right, in the GT3s, and again, the AMs and Pros do start intermixed, but on the pole position for all of them, Mike Dam from Orion Racing, and he'll be lined up alongside the Wrong Stuff's Iago Mores on the outside of row 1. On the inside of row 2, you got Michael Brooks. Actually, he'll be alongside Leo Dragotta, who's going to be our highest AM qualifier. The remaining pro qualifiers, you got David Payton, qualified 4th from D2D. You get Ken Copeland from Esport Racer qualifying 5th. Jeff Jacobs from SCCA Foundation in that 6th qualifying in pro. And Chris Thorman from D2D, the 7th qualifier in pro. As I mentioned, Leo Dragotta is your highest qualifying AM. He'll be lined up on row 2. You got Dre Divock actually just there on row 3. And we are about to go green.
All right, we're about to go green, and should mention we had 13 cars actually in the GTP field. Fernando Takahashi, moving from the Cadillac to the Porsche, does not appear to have made it to the grid. We'll see if he starts from the pit lane here, as the pace car now should be heading to the pit lane and turning the field over to Lucas Sedor in the number 19 Cadillac as they wait for the green flag, with Bailey Petrowski to his side. And green flag is in the air, and we are underway here at Fuji Speedway as our drivers head down that long front straight, heading over towards the very, very tight hairpin at turn number 1. Moving to the inside, to driver's left was Tanner Dibble, looking to get a better entrance and maybe a better exit from that turn 1 and then turn 2, but he's going to slide in right behind Lucas Sedor as Bailey Petrowski now takes the lead as our GT3 machines now make their way down towards turn number 1. On the inside, it's Mike Dam in the number 93 Orion Racing BMW battling for position. We've got the 2 different Wrong Stuff Porsche racers, Iago Mores and Michael Brooks.
We got contact already at the back.
Oh yes, as we've got a car that is going around. I think that's Jackson Detmer in the number 73 BMW. He's going to drop to the tail end of the field.
Yeah, a little bit of context. They went 4 wide down there through turn 1, so we'll see if they get everything squared away as we flash back to our GTPs. It's still Petrowski leading the way as they make their way through the end of this first lap through these tight chicane sections and around this turn 15 into 16. It is a crazy, crazy track. No one trying any moves, at least not the GTPs here on the opening lap. So they're going to go around this last corner, which is kind of an uphill climbing, kind of like an inverted corkscrew, as they head around towards the front straight for the first time.
Exactly, and then it tightens up right at the apex there. Another decreasing radius turn to throw a challenge at these racers as Mike Dam now leading the field. And again, it is Iago Mores in the number 9 Porsche with Michael Brooks. Dre Divock, who has gotten around Leo Dragotta on the starting area. I don't think we got to Divock when we ran down the starting grid. He started 2nd in the AM. He is now ahead of Dragotta. They are running 4th and 5th in the GT3 field, with then Ken Copeland, who is now all the way up to 4th in pro, having started, what did we say, 9th in pro, and I believe David Payton in his Ferrari directly behind.
Yeah, Divock, a really good start there, getting around Leo Dragotta. They did start right on the outside of row 2, inside of row 3. So a good move there for Dre to get that early advantage there in the AM category. And so you've got the Wrong Stuff drivers now overall running 2, 3, and 4 with Mores, Brooks, and Divock kind of in a row there in their Porsches trying to chase down Mike Dam. As Belney in his own Porsche now is heading down there trying to keep up with the rest of this pack. And a couple of the new Ferraris even in the mix here tonight.
And we're watching, Larry, almost better than what's going on screen in the car.
Yeah.
Is what's going on screen in the cameras is we could watch Bruno Belny.
Yeah, like a motion rig going on.
He is working hard. It's lap number 2 for Belny, and he's muscling that Porsche around right now as we see him directly behind Chuck Labano's brand new Ferrari.
Either he's a motion rig or he's got some loose bolts there in his chair, because that thing has definitely got some motion that he's having to hang on. And that'll wear you out for 75 minutes tonight. We'll see if Bruno wants to check back in with him in a little while to see how much sweat's pouring down to keep up with that car. This part of the track especially, a lot of work for a driver. So awkward, so unnatural feeling, and every single lap just feels like you're on the knife's edge around sections of this track. So be interesting to see how these drivers can handle 75 minutes. I can't imagine doing one of the 6 or 12 hour actual real life races around here. That would just wear me out.
Oh my gosh, yes. As we're on board right now with Ian Patience, currently running 7th in GTP, running one of the new Porsche platforms, and directly behind Ryan Reeves, who I believe is our sole Acura driver here.
I kind of like the Acura. I kind of like the look of it. It's got the little extra little winglet there on the front, so very cool looking front end. So it's really great to see that this class has grown within a year of the first of the GTPs, the Cadillac, I guess it was, being released, and all of a sudden we've got 4 of them. And here in this series, all 4 are represented here tonight.
All right, as we watch now, and starting on lap number 3, and Larry, every time I see Petrowski's car, all I can think of is an Argyle sweater.
Comfy pair of socks.
That's right. I feel awfully underdressed when I watch Bailey Petrowski race. Well, maybe not underdressed. Never mind. All right, here, but a great little fight going on right now for second in class. As we have this 3-car battle, Ben Rose in the burgundy number 5 Cadillac, directly ahead of him Taylor Dibble, who we're on board with right now in one of the new Porsches driven for DNA Motorsport, and then Lucas Seedor currently sitting in 2nd in his Cadillac. Now Seedor finished 6th at Daytona, definitely not the finish that he wanted. He was the last car on the lead lap in GTP, but definitely a great start for him, great qualifying time, and we'll see, if these drivers battling so early on allow Petrowski to start to walk away as we jump over to our GT3 fight here, and this is the fight for the lead in AM.
Yeah, Dragota's gotten around Divock here in the AM lead, so good move there. It looks like right behind them, I think, is Alex Brown now in another one of the Porsches right there behind Divock. Ooh, he almost hit a little grass. He's
and he does, Larry. There's a lot of tire smoke following the Brown machine, the number 67 car, just getting things under control now through the grass. And, I was thinking that the GT3 machines might need to take 4 tires when they come in for their pit stop a little bit later. Brown might need new rear tires a little sooner than
he might need a driver's seat change as well, or maybe the guys behind him might, because that was pretty sketchy as they all had to scatter to stay out of his way of his slides.
Yeah, now luckily that was at one of the widest portions of the racetrack.
There was place for people to dive into without making contact. Look, everybody was able to get around him without any contact, so that was pretty good. As we're on board now, or I guess watching Bruno wrestling that Porsche, trying to keep up there with, looks like I think it's Jeff Jacobs right in front of him,
and Lucas Dragota just ahead of the orange and blue machine. Lucas is currently running 3rd in AM.
And I think that's Chuck Labano then right behind him in one of the new Ferraris that just got released here at the new season. Not sure, I'm not really warming up on the styling yet of that Ferrari, but
and Belny's moving over drivers right for a moment there, I think, to try and break the draft of Labano and the Ferrari directly behind.
Could be. Now this turn 1's interesting. The bottom just kind of drops off just past the apex, and you have to just be willing to send the car through there at the right angle. Makes it very difficult, followed by a pretty good little straightaway, so it's a pretty important corner. And you look at this turn 2 here, you just got to flick it across that apex there. it's an awkward track. There's just no rhythm around here.
No.
It's not one of those, sections of Spa always seem to be connected one to the other, and it's very rhythmic. This is not here. It's what makes it awkward. And a fast way around here sometimes just doesn't feel natural, but it is
not
exactly
not at all. And as we were watching Belny there go through that long right-hand sweeper at 100R, turns 4 and 5, and there is that little bit of a groove, kind of Watkins Glen like that you can drop into. That is where we saw.
Look at this.
The Porsche go around earlier, but we're already seeing now the GTP
Belny,
traffic.
Belny going to try and take the opportunity to follow Petrowski through. Didn't quite make it stick, but that was interesting as he got up alongside Jeff Jacobs. And now, of course, Cedar is going to be the next one through. See if Belny tries to link up with a couple of these GTPs. Oh, that's a little too close for linking.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's actually running, as he's trying to find a way around Jacobs, he runs a little wide and pushes Dibble right out to the curbing.
Yeah, but Dibble is able to get on through there. So Cedar, Dibble, then you got Rose now going to be the next one by. He shouldn't have any problem. His top speed, I'm sure, is a good 20, 30 miles an hour in the GTP, faster than the GT3s. You see Ben just kind of clear them pretty easily.
Yeah, and so, a couple weeks ago when we were at Daytona for round 1, Larry, I think one of the things that we noted, and here we go, Alex Brown, who had that pretty lurid slide through 100R a lap ago. He does come down the pit lane, and we'll see if he takes some tires or if there's some other changes that he needs to make mid-race here.
Well, this is interesting.
He's going to lose a lot of time.
Yeah, and so again, some of this GTP traffic making their way through this battle here with, of course, Jeff Jacobs kind of right there in the middle of it, as always, with Belny still trying to get up behind them. Belny trying to now yield to some of the GTP cars. Not an easy task because they are a lot faster as the higher speed sweepers really start to crop up. You get to the slow section, as we had seen before, how tight it got through the chicanes between the GTPs, GT3s, not much speed difference. But once they get to the higher speed stuff, the GTPs just pull away. And so that was the point I was starting to make, Larry, is that a couple of weeks ago at Daytona, we were seeing these pretty wild swings in gaps or differences between, say, first and second position in GTP, in some cases up to 5 or 6 seconds per lap. Simply because there was such a huge difference when you ran up on the traffic coming into one of the two hairpins in the infield versus coming up on traffic, out on the trioval. And what we're watching here is Bailey Petrowski at one point had an almost 2-second lead over Cedar and Dibble, and now you can see the three of them are kind of in a train as they go through around the turn 3 and around the 100R here. So any lead Petrowski had, as soon as they got the traffic, he wasn't able to get through them as quickly as Lucas Cedar and Tanner Dibble were able to. So there you are, 1, 2, 3 right now, your leaders overall in the race in GTPs, a couple of Cadillacs, and I think Dibble then in one of the Porsches.
Yeah, Porsche for Dibble. And hey, want to welcome a new viewer to the World Challenge. Don't know if it's Hans Stuck, but we've got Hans S. from Sweden here joining us this weekend. I would think that Hans would probably be maybe if it was Hans Stuck, probably more of a Bavarian setting rather than Sweden. But want to thank you for joining us, and Stubby, thanks for making him feel right at home when he jumped in. We appreciate that.
We welcome all of our viewers. We appreciate them hanging out in the chat and keeping the conversation going. This is a very interesting series, interesting racing, and I love the engagement of the of folks like Stubby and Hans and the others. And sometimes
watching Bobby Childs trying to slice his way through GT3 traffic. If you really want to put your life in your own hands, he's got his Twitch channel there on the side of the car. I don't know if that's D2D approved or not, but comes onto the front straight and starts to move around that GT3 traffic. Child's currently running 9th, having started 10th in GTP, but we can see Lorente in the BMW starting to close things down.
Well, Lorente, as they came onto the front straight, he took a wide line around the GT3s while Bobby had tucked in the inside. Lorente went over those curbs, and those sausage curbs on the outside of turn 16 are pretty rough. Lorente able to keep it together and keep things going. So now we flash ahead to our front three again and take a look again. Petrowski's over 1.2 seconds now ahead of Cedar and Dibble. So as soon as the things clear up, Petrowski's got the pace that Cedar and Dibble are struggling to maintain. But once they get the traffic, those other two guys seem to be able to dice through it a little quicker than Bailey does. So let's see as they come around to traffic the next time, does that accordion effect continue?
All right, another person watching us here tonight and checking in the chat. Larry,
it's
Ray. Stevie Ray from the Ray Esports Racing League.
Yep.
And Stevie, I'll be broadcasting the Ray Esports Racing League tomorrow night here on Apex Racing TV at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we've got a number of Ray Esports Racing Leagues: the Weekend Warriors, Formula F, Formula V, and Spec Racer Ford series over the every weekend. And for those of you that happen to be going to the Sports Car Club of America's National Championship runoffs this year at Virginia International Raceway, join us or join Stevie Ray in conjunction with one of their sponsors, Grass Paddock Motorsports. Going to be holding a meet and greet, I believe, on Wednesday evening.
Yep, I know you'll be there. I know I'll be there.
That's right.
Stevie Ray will be there, so it'll be a good time. And I don't know, I'm going to see if Jeff Jenkins might even show up, because he's typically involved for those kind of events as well. So to tie that right back into this series here, Jeff, one of our competitors, one of the admins for this series, but also heavily involved, as his sponsor says, SCCA Foundation. And I got to hang out with Jeff a few weeks ago at the SCCA Solo Nationals. There's Jeff right there with the foundation livery on the car. And there is the actual Jeff as well, right there on screen, with his multi-screen setup there that he's showing us how he gets it done.
And Jeff currently running 7th in GT3 Pro.
Yeah, right now the highest of the AM drivers, Leo Dragota, your leader in AM, currently running 4th overall in the GT3 field. So he's got Ken Copeland just between he and his nearest AM rival, Dre Divock. So that's a good development there for Leo Dragota to now have a little bit of traffic. That's a Mercedes, that AMG of Ken Copeland in between he and Dre Divock. You can see Divock just in the back of the shot here as they come around. There is Dre in the wrong stuff Porsche.
And
good
he's got
shot,
his wrong
good
stuff
look in.
wear on as well.
Look at that.
It's not only the livery, they've got everything, including the t-shirt too.
Yeah, I mean, that's not just extreme paints going to the full extreme. That is actually the wrong stuff t-shirt, I think, that he's wearing. Otherwise, if he's got the graphics set up where it overlays a t-shirt on him, then I'd really be impressed.
We need to talk to Lee about that. All right, so we are now 10 laps, about 15 minutes, a little bit more than 15 minutes into this 75-minute race to the checkered flag, round 2, and this is season number 8 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge.
So I see Chris Thorman there on track right behind Trey Divock, and Thorman in one of those new Ferraris, so interesting switch up of cars there for him. As we go on board here with Kamal, as he's now in that battle with Belny. He's trying to find any way around him in that BMW to try and get around that little red Porsche there in front of him. It's a tough corner right there on the limit. You can see that car sliding around.
Yeah, and Larry, it's so to watch as Katzovic went and it was adjusting his line, trying to go around the outside of the 7 Porsche of Belny. You could see he'd have this great acceleration, and then you could just tell he kind of got to the limit of grip, and he started to dial it back again. And it just looked like this, this just kind of jockeying between the two cars, and it just really makes it very difficult to go offline here.
I love the onboard, though. You get a real sense of the different lines that you can take. You watch Gatsovic's line as he's getting good late apexes, but he can't go anywhere with it because Belny's taking a good defensive line to ensure that there's just like no track room for Kamal to get any kind of a run in that BMW. Now as you come off of the last corner again, look at the nice wide line by Belny, getting a really good exit there, plants that rear of the Porsche down, and off he goes. The BMW, a little bit of a tighter line, didn't quite get the launch off of that corner, I don't think, as well as Belny did. So you can see he's not quite gaining on him. Belny's still trying to break that draft. as they go down that front straight.
And if you just noticed, Larry, this just had a note thrown on the screen there. The stewards are taking a look at a lap 1 incident between 2 of our GTP drivers, Ryan Reeves in the number 22 Acura, Ian Patience in the number 21 Porsche. They started 6th and 7th. That's where they still are. Maybe something that you and I missed when we went over to look at the GT3 start. But we'll get some word on that as time comes up. Let's do this. Let's jump back over now to the GT3 fight.
It's a good little battle.
Yeah, and Mike Dam, who had jumped out to a very early lead, was our pole sitter, but had jumped to a pretty good gap back to Iago Mores and Michael Brooks. Now is certainly being challenged by the number 9 Wrong Stuff Porsche as Mores runs a little wide, but both have dropped Michael Brooks there. You can see Brooks about 4 seconds in arrears.
Well, we've seen this from Mores before. What we've seen is recovery drives from him because he has had some bad luck at starts of races. Tonight, just a little bit of dropping back, maybe half a second, 1 second back from Mike Dam. But now he's reeling him back in as he gets into his groove here in this race. And again, you're watching different lines between Mike Dam and the BMW and Iago Mores and the Porsche. But I think that's just the nature of this track. There's a lot of different ways to attack this thing. Mores, though, I think is getting into that groove, and now he's learning the tendencies of Mike Dam. And we'll see if he can force Dam to do something that most of the time doesn't happen, and that is to use his car up. We see Mike Dam often save the car, saves tires.
Yes.
He's able to get some fuel efficiency out of it. Iago's going to make sure that doesn't happen tonight. He's going to push Mike as hard as he can and make sure that Mike is using up every ounce of that car to make this a fair fight come into the race. And look at this, the battle for second is on. As that's Lucas Sidor again closing up on Petrowski for a second for the first spot, but Dibble is all over Sidor.
And seemingly the one person who we don't have in this camera shot, who's a little bit further back right now, a little bit of a surprise, Ben Rose, who is now I think almost 6 seconds back from this battle for 3rd place. And again, Rose finished 2nd at Daytona at round 1. We'll see if he makes his way back up. But now look at this side pod going into the chicane. We've got Sidor and Dibble side by side, and Dibble, I think, got caught out a little bit there. Didn't really have anywhere to go with some of those GT3 cars that had actually moved over to allow Sidor through. And Petrowski has some issues.
Yeah, Petrowski, a bit of a struggle there. Look at him now going around one of the Dragotas there. And now we've got a change of the lead as Sidor gets a great run up the last corner. Petrowski not able to. He's still kind of recovering from his big slide there through turns 14 and 15. But now look at this, nose to tail, all three as they've cleared the GT3 traffic, and that got a little dicey, but they're through. And let's see if Dibble can get a run on Petrowski. Petrowski's going to dive to the inside and try and block position around turn 1.
Yeah, and of course with this very tight corner, that's going to make things very difficult. And you can see there, Dibble wanted to turn in and he couldn't do it because Petrowski's quarter panel was right there. And even just that little bit of a challenge going into turns 1 and 2 has now allowed Sidor to open up a couple of car lanes.
Here comes some traffic. They're coming up on GT3s right in front of them. They're going to get up to one of the Ferraris now. And look at this opportunity for Dibble as he's going to shove the nose down the inside along Petrowski as they go around one of those Ferraris. I think that might even be one of the G2D Ferraris there they're going around. But now they've got Divock, which means right in front of Divock, of course, is going to be probably going to be a Chris Thorman. Yep, in the other one of our G2D cars.
Yeah, and both Petrowski and Dibble have now closed right back up to the.
Oh no, there's contact.
Contact.
Yeah, that was. I think that might have been Thorman alongside Dibble or Petrowski. A little side-by-side brush. I don't think anybody was slowed down because of it, but it is so dicey through this section because the speed isn't that different between them. Yes, there's more downforce on the GTPs, but it's not so great where they just go blowing by them. They have to occupy the same piece of asphalt together, and it certainly makes for a lot of interesting side-by-side as you get to the straightaway. And look at the speed delta as these guys are somewhere around 187 miles an hour in the GTPs and only about 150 to 160 maybe is what they're going to get to in the GT3. So that 25 mile an hour difference shows itself right down the front straight.
All right, and now jumping back, and this is the battle for the lead as Yago Mores had pulled right up alongside Mike Dam momentarily. He's going to drop back in line. And I was going to say, Larry, you know, when the GTP and GT3 cars come through that final sequence, the 13, 14, 15. Oh, and here we go. Mores trying to slot underneath the 93 machine.
This is interesting. If he's really forcing it, we've talked to Mike Dan before when he gets in these battles. Sometimes he just lets the guy go and then just learns and saves fuel. So I'm surprised that Mores would be this aggressive. But take a look at this. That's Cedor coming up behind him, leading the battle of those GTPs right through the leaders here in GT3 Pro.
Oh, and Cedor
big slide.
gets loose.
Yes, he does. And that's just going to be opportunity and maybe contact between Dibble and Petrowski behind them. Woo. And the more contact here on the back of Mores. This is a tough place to occupy. Look at this. Look at Cedor.
Well, it's easy because he just drove right through our camera, Larry. Here is,
and you know what? Mores is saying, hey, I'm in a battle too, guys. I can't just yield and give you everything because I'm in my own battle. You have to be careful. You know, it is on the passing car. Is the responsibility to make a clean pass.
Exactly. And I was going to say, in that section of the track, Larry, you know, turns 13 through the final corner. You know, the pace, as you mentioned, is not all that different from the GT3 to the GTP cars, and whatever downforce advantage those GTP cars have at higher speeds, of course, is diminished at some of those lower speeds. And we saw where both the GT3 cars and GTP cars were having the rear ends just wildly step out on them as they were trying to put the throttle down and try to accelerate out of some of those slower corners.
Oh, Cedor and Dibble are so aggressive through traffic. No wonder that they were catching up to Petrowski every time they got in traffic when Petrowski was in the lead. Now I'm wondering if Bailey may be switching his tune a little bit. If I'm Bailey, I might think about knowing that I might have the open track pace over these guys. Maybe it's the time to start conserving little tires and conserving little fuel. Be better to pit stop when that time comes. Let these guys in front of me wear themselves out. Yeah, let them run through it. Yeah. Let's see if Bailey does that or if he stays in the mix. He seems to be keeping a good little gap, about that 7/10 or so, to where he could use some draft to pull himself down the straightaway, but it doesn't look like he's trying to shove his nose in anywhere inside of a Dibble there in second spot or anywhere near what Cedor is doing. Even staying clear of the GT3 car. I think that might be Alex Brown's GT3 car.
I think that's the brown Porsche that we saw
with the maple leaf
pit lane a little earlier.
Yep, big maple leaf on the, I don't want to call it the hood, but on the frunk of the Porsche. All right, good little look in here with Jackson Detmer also running his own live camera to his sim setup. It's similar to that. As he's deeply enthralled in his own race of what's going on there, as he's currently running, I think it's 8th in the GT3 AM.
Yeah, indeed. With Russ Ruddick's BMW, the green and white number 95 machine, directly ahead. That's the battle for 7th, and a number of GT3 machines there, but they're somewhat spread out. We've got Belney almost actually about 5 seconds ahead of this battle here between Ruddick and
Belney there down that front straight. Kind of got some clear air for him. He's able to kind of do his thing and not be as defensive as he was having to be before.
And that's got to be a motion rig. He got on the brakes to go down into turn 1, and you can see everything just pitch forward on him. Yeah,
well, that's pretty wild. I have not driven motion rigs before, but I can imagine the sensations. The more realism you get, it's got to wear you out if nothing else. You get to the end of a 75-minute race. Yeah. Keep an eye on Bruno there, as he's again currently running 6th in the M category, just a couple seconds back there from Kamal Katsovic. As our leaders are side by side of the GTPs, Dibble on the outside, Cedor on the inside, gets the advantage on the exit of 1 through 2.
All right, so Cedor holds off Dibble for the time being, and Petrowski is starting. It looks, Larry, he's about a second back. Currently, I think he's doing exactly what you said. Maybe just letting these two fight it out corner after corner.
Yeah, I just think he's you know, these kind of cars, these aero cars, they get a lot of aero wash when you get up close to them, and you really wear out those front tires badly. And I think Bailey might be recognizing that and just leaving himself. You hear about it when they, you know, you watch Formula One, whenever they talk about that, when you get too close to the car in front of you, you put a lot more wear. I think that's what happens in these cars as
Stalls
well.
out the front wing, yeah.
Yeah, and so for Bailey, he's thinking, you know what, I can make this thing last a lot longer. I can use less fuel and maybe undercut or overcut him, I guess, when it comes time for pit stops.
All right, well, speaking about time for pit stops, Jeff Jacobs, the first of our GT3 drivers, well, not the first, but the first that we expect came in for a scheduled pit stop. Russ Ruddick now coming in as well. We expected the GT3 cars that their pit window is going to be fairly wide, about 15 laps total. To start, that window would open at right around lap 14.
Look at the setup
and
of Ruddick.
these drivers are on 16 currently.
Look at the setup of Ruddick. He's VR. Look at the buttons he's got around him, as well as the multiple screens. That is pretty wild there.
I mean, I've heard of driving by, you know, driving by Braille, but that might take the cake.
Well, you know, that's the one thing I've talked to people who run in VR. The hard part is having buttons and to be able to do things. You can't just look over and pick your keyboard. You need pre-programmed buttons that you can feel if you want to make changes, whether it's a brake bias adjustment or if you want to change your pit strategy. You need to be able to quickly do that with buttons, and he certainly got that set up. I'm sure he's done his shopping at his favorite sim supply store. Look at the battle, these two in particular.
Yeah,
I know Petrowski is still there, but
yeah,
man,
he's
these
still
two
there.
are pushing.
And I think we're going to probably see Petrowski close up on these two, just as by nature of the GT3 traffic that they're having to work through.
Yeah, I think it's might be Brockway that they're just going around there in the 62 in that Ferrari. Look at this. This is that undercutting kind of move that Dibble's going to try to tuck to the inside, but you just can't get a run. Instead, he slows both of them down. Now watch. Look at the great run Petrowski gets. He's going to be right on their heel at the end of the straightaway, I suspect, especially if he can stay in the draft. And he's about 1.6 back. Be tough to get any kind of draft, but if he can, he might be catching up because these two are just fighting corner to corner. As the 118 of Leo Dragotta just assigned a 10-second post-race penalty for contact with, I believe that was with one of the GTP cars.
Well, let's take a look. I think we can pull it up here.
Uh-huh. There he is in his Porsche.
Oh, and he
there
comes
it is.
around.
That's Eduardo Lorente in the number 199 BMW GTP car. And they both spin, but blame is assigned to Leo Dragotta. He'll take on that penalty at the end of the race.
Yeah, and you know, at the moment, Larry Dragotta he's currently running second in AM, and he's got about 10 seconds on his teammate, not his brother, his teammate.
But he's got. Remember, he was, in fact, before that spin, leading the M class.
Right.
Quite a little buffer on Divock. Well, now, of course, Divock's ahead of him by just a couple of tenths. And so now knowing he's got 10 seconds. Wow, the steam coming out of Divock. He's working hard.
I was to say, usually that's like, you know, white smoke is not a good sign coming out of a car, but when
Divock, though, with the lead, really working hard to stay ahead of Leo Dragotta, but now he knows if he's seen the warning come up, 10 seconds. So he's got to be within 10 seconds of his rival to be able to win this AM category. So does he let him by? Does he make it difficult? I don't know. We're still only about 30 minutes into this 75 minutes, so lots of time to sort these things out. If you're Leo, though, you got to go. You got to get by Dre. You can't wait. And if he's held up, I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in and run that pit stop. There he is, the Dragon Sport Racing Leo Dragotta. The Flying Dragotta brothers, as we often call them. Look at the back of that Ferrari. It just doesn't look Ferrari-esque.
No, not well. It doesn't have the round taillights in the rear.
Maybe kind of looks like a 50s or early 60s Ferrari Le Mans entry.
Well, that's exactly. I was thinking that it looks kind of like the bread van a little bit, just with the C-pillar treatment. But yeah, it looks very un-Ferrari-like. As a matter of fact, in looking at the rear, I keep thinking that it's the I keep thinking that it's
Like
one of the
Audi
McLarens.
or the McLaren, yeah. Very interesting.
Minus the balls of flames.
Yeah, very interesting design that they've released here. But Mores pitting in from the front of the field there in GT3 Pro. So this is the earliest of the front runners. We did see Jeff Jacobs earlier. This now Yago Mores, the wrong stuff, pitting from the lead.
And that's going to take a little bit of the pressure off Mike Dam, as Dam now has, about 4 seconds off of Michael Brooks.
It could put the pressure on Mike Dam because now he's got to be wondering about where is the traffic. Does Mike Dam suffer in traffic now? Was perhaps Mores trying to avoid traffic? So that'll be on both of them now, not knowing where the other is. Puts a lot of pressure on to maintain that pace. As there's Chuck Labano in one of the Frito Sport Ferraris there. As he's got the other Lucas Dragota, 119 of the Dragon Sport Racing right behind him.
And it looks like Lucas just gave up third position in AM. Chuck Labano in the 34 Ferrari had just gotten by.
Yeah, so Chuck on a pretty good run right now. Lucas just maintaining his pace, and maybe he's got a strategy for playing the long game here in this race.
Yeah.
Of course, that you've got more traffic coming up behind him. Whew. It does look like, I think it's Ryan Reisman there, I think in the 414 Cadillac.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's the 414 Cadillac, the blue one, yeah.
I think right there should be Ryan Reeves, awfully close to him. There he is in the blue and white, right behind Labano right now as they come through turns 15. There he is, just getting around Labano. There's Reeves. Reeves running in one of the Acuras actually tonight. One of the new released models. They're coming up on, I think that should be David Payton there down the front straight in that D2D Ferrari with the green trim.
Yeah, the new paint job or paint scheme for these D2D machines. Oh
no,
Larry,
that's big contact among your leaders.
Dibble and Cedar getting together. That's going to move Bellany back into the lead, and yet that's what happens.
Petrowski.
Petrowski moving to the lead. Pardon me. Here as Cedar. Looking at the bouncing that he took off the wall, I think his race may be done.
Maybe. Wow, the contact. Let's get to replay here. So there's Cedar in the lead, the Aerokinetics entry, and right behind him, coming up the inside there is Dibble, and Dibble just gets into the back of him. Oh, yeah. No. And then off the wall goes Cedar. Dibble's able to recover, but not before losing a lot of time. I don't see any damage on the Dibble car, but I have a feeling that the stewards are going to take a look at that.
Yeah, I would suspect that was not going to be looked kindly, and there you go. Incident involving the number 19 and the 963, currently under review. Yeah. And here comes Mike Dam pitting in from the lead in GT3 Pro.
Surprise. Yeah, not a surprise here. I didn't think he was going to wait too long, seeing how Mores came in about 2 laps ago. I don't think he wants to get too far separated on track. It's always better to know where your rival is. So let's see if Dam can do the typical Orion Racing thing and make it a quick stop. I think he's the only Orion car in the field today.
I was just going to mention, Larry, last round we had the full complement. Actually had the 4 drivers for Orion Racing. And he is currently the only one.
Yeah, well, here's Iago Mores, who had the lead before he pit, and now he's going off the last corner. Let's keep an eye on him as Mike Dam has left his pit box. It's a long exit, but I have a feeling he might maintain this lead as Mores had some traffic. This is going to be close. It's a really fast, long straightaway, and it's a long pit lane at a very low speed.
Yes. And here we go. Dam is back underway. And Larry, we just flashed it up on the screen. As you and I might have suspected, Tanner Dibble receiving responsibility for that impact with Cedar, and he is assessed a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, he's been given a penalty, and I'm also seeing Cedar typing in a bit of an apology, sorry in there. So maybe both of them kind of wishing there wasn't contact to the other, I'm sure. So unfortunate things happen, but hopefully everybody's being gentlemanly about it as we've got this little battle going on. That's Chris Thorman, and right behind him is one of the only Mercedes in the field, Ken Copeland. Currently the battle for second as the Dam and Mores have already pit. So these are second and third on the track in GT3s, Chris Thorman, Ken Copeland.
All right, well, let's do this, Larry. Let's track those two drivers as Tanner Dibble now serving his drive-through penalty. I was going to say, let's watch that fight in GT3. We'll see if either of them come into the pit lane. And if not, maybe we would take our break. No, they're going to continue on track. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break and thank some of our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here at Fuji Speedway, where you're watching round number 2, the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Elite and Buttkicker here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Fuji Speedway for round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Elite and Buttkicker here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, of course, as soon as we went to break, more of our GT3 drivers decided to start hitting the pit lane.
Yep, but there you can see Jagoda has done his pit stop. Again, he'll still be assessed that 10-second penalty at the end of the race. He's in that battle right now with Divock. Divock has not pit in. Yeah.
Lucas Dragotta is on the pit lane currently, as is Bruno Bellamy. And so Leo Dragotta rejoins in 6th in GT3 AM. And I think that's 12th or thereabouts for our GT3 drivers, as Michael Brooks now pits in from the lead in GT3 Pro in the number 83 Wrong Stuff Porsche.
And if I recall, he was probably, what was it, about 4 or 6 seconds, something like that,
yes,
behind Mores and behind Mike Dam for that front 2. So we'll see where he comes back out, as there is, Mores, big sausage curve there.
Wow.
And he's a ways back from Mike Dam.
Yeah, and we always talk about Mores being kind of hit or miss, and you mentioned that he has typically had issues very early on in a race, but he's also shown quite a bit of inconsistency. Not so much this season. We're only a round and a half into this season, but last season, he had spots of greatness, and for every fast lap that he turned in, there was sometimes another lap to counteract it.
Yeah, no, his pace is unquestionable. He's always right there with the fastest. There are some races that he can overcome big penalties or big incidents and still recover and win. So he's a contender. Even at 8-9 seconds back from Mike Dam right now, I would not count him out with 33 minutes to go in this race. He's still in this thing. So because all it takes a little bit of traffic and he could be right there. Now there's Leo Dragotta, who's, as we mentioned, he's done his pit stop. We're going to keep an eye on him because we're going to wait and see how Divock does on his stop, and then it could be pretty close between them.
Yeah, and I should mention, Larry, that this week in practice, Iago Mores was the fastest of our GT3 drivers. Now, we don't know what his fuel load was at the time. I would suspect that it was probably quite a bit lower than what we're seeing on track right now, as he turned in a 140.5. And that is, somewhere around half a second faster than anybody else that has turned a lap so far in GT3, about half a second faster than Mike Dam's fastest lap at this point.
Yeah, right now they're both kind of in the high 141s, low 142s in terms of current pace, but there's so much traffic, it's hard to get a really good gauge on what they're doing. As Ricmotech, a bit of an off and on.
Yeah, having a little bit of trouble there in the penultimate corner.
Yeah.
And looks like he may be having some other issues that might be affecting it.
And he's running second in this race. Oh, deciding to maybe not pit. So he's up in a second after the issue there with Dibble earlier, and of course with Seedor, who's out of this race. So Ricmotech now elevated to the second spot, just ahead of Ryan Reeves. We know those two have always been pretty close on track, as Divock is back on track, and we'll see where he is relative to his rival Dragotta, and there they are. They'll be nearly nose to tail coming through turn one.
Yeah, as soon as these GTB cars cycle through, it's going to put them very close. Now, remember that Leo Dragotta has a 10-second time penalty coming to him post-race. So he's got to get with the program here and do something that I think is going to be very difficult, which is leave Dre Divock behind here. Currently, your leader in GT3 is Chuck Labano. Labano has not pitted in yet. And Mike Dam is cycled all the way back up to second there. You can see as Dragotta takes that look to the outside there and sees the grip disappear. And we've seen this a couple times, Larry, where the driver will move offline to affect the pass, and suddenly there's no grip for that pass.
Yeah, it's a very interesting set of corners where grip varies quite a bit, and even the good line, but also the good line can sometimes be an awkward entry, which leaves the door open. So it'll be really interesting to see if some of these guys can take advantage of that as we get to the late stages of the race.
Oh, and Jackson Detmer, he opens up the door for Iago Mores, and Mores went so deep down into turn one, and looks like he's going to be able to now.
There's contact. Goes Mores.
Yes, between Iago Mores and I think Jackson Detmer.
Yep.
Detmer, who was running second in AM, third in GT3, and Iago Mores. Larry, I didn't want to break out the announcer's curse, but that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. That for all those flashes of greatness, it's usually counteracted by something like that. And so Iago Mores now goes around. He's going to drop back to third in pro.
He was being aggressive because he knows he's 10 seconds down from Mike Dam, or at least he was. And he was really trying to make up ground. If he can get around that AM car and Jackson Detmer, he thought, well, okay, now I can make ground up on Mike Dam ahead. Unfortunately, that's where the contact comes in. And I'm sure as these stewards are looking at it, that they're going to end up finding blame somewhere, and we'll see, because the two of the cars, it was for position. This was not lap traffic. We'll see what the stewards have to say about it, as we've got Leo Dragotta now just ahead of Dre Divock here in the battle for AM. Obviously, not everybody has taken their pit stops yet, but these two going at it. As we mentioned, Dragotta's got that 10-second penalty coming, and we'll see if he's able to get 10 seconds ahead, or is Divock's going to be able to hold close for the next 27 minutes.
All right, and so Jackson Detmer, who we just saw a few moments ago in his BMW in that incident with Mores, he has brought his car down the pit lane, and we'll see if this is for him, his scheduled stop. I don't believe he had stopped yet, Larry.
Yep. Ryan Reeves, the other one, is just pitted.
Yeah. All right, Tanner Dibble, who is currently now sitting up a distant second. And look at this, as we talk about Dibble on the pit lane. Bailey Petrowski, our leader in GTP, loses the back end of the car. Petrowski has not pitted in yet, so he may be starting to lose those rear tires, Larry.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he dives into the pits here momentarily. But that's he had a pretty good, comfortable lead. It does look like he might be coming in right now and probably thinking he should have pit maybe one lap earlier.
One lap earlier, yeah.
Yep. And that we'll see if Bobby Childs comes in, as Bobby is almost a minute back from Petrowski. As there's Bobby there. As he's going around Divock and around Theo Jagoda. Divock may have an opportunity to stick with Jagoda here for a while. So we'll see if Bobby, one of the few left to make his stop, and see if he decides to come in this time by as he's coming around this turn 15 towards 16.
And he's directly behind. Is that Ben Rose that he's got? No, it's not Rose, pardon me. I think that might be the Ross machine.
Bobby's still not coming in. Yes, it is Adam Ross. Currently running 10th.
With Petrowski on the pit lane, Larry, Bobby Childs has now assumed the lead here, so he's going to pick up some bonus points.
I'm actually surprised he was able to pull that off. I thought perhaps the deficit to Petrowski was going to be too much. Look at this now, as Thorman and Copeland are side by side as your leaders of Bobby Childs overall in the race is trying to snake through these guys. Bobby doesn't need to have bad Bobby
luck. Some contact there between Copeland and Thorman.
May have been as they went through the turn 3, and again here Copeland kind of itching away, watching Thorman duck up the inside. And so this is the battle for 4th in GT3 Pro and 5th right now overall running in GT3s. As Petrowski comes up behind both of them and thinking, I don't need to get tangled in this battle for 4th.
No.
He's just going to sit back for a couple of corners, I think, and play the patient game. He's going to pick off Copeland and start working his way towards Thorman up in front of him.
Yeah, and he's got some breathing room. The next GTP car on track is Eduardo Lorente in the 199 BMW Lorente, yet to pit.
This is Chuck Labano, your leader for the race until now, as Mike Dam, with his pit stop in hand, just retook the race ahead of Labano, who has yet to stop. With Labano currently leading the GT3 AM group ahead of Jagoda and Divock. We're about 30 seconds back. We'll see how that changes once Labano does come in for his stop. Dam now with a comfortable about 12-second lead over Michael Brooks. And Yago Moraes another 10 seconds back after the spin that he had earlier.
Yeah, and so in GT3, I believe Labano, I was going to say John Casey, who is just now coming down the pit lane, as well as Greg Brockway, the last 3 GT3 drivers to pit. Brockway on the pit lane as well. So that is going to leave Chuck Labano, our sole driver, who has not taken his service. He currently leads GT3 AM.
Yeah, well, here's Tanner Dibble. We saw the issues he had earlier in his contact with Cedar, and now he's trying to work his way back through. That's Ian Patience that's right in front of him. Ian's got the track position advantage as they go through some of these corners, but Ian maybe doesn't quite have the same setup as strongly done as Dibble does right now. Dibble able to make the pass. A little bit of flashing lights there from
I'm
Patience.
starting to wonder if perhaps Patience wasn't too happy with that.
Perhaps he's Murray Walker telling him you're number 1, perhaps.
All right, so we are now just a touch over, about 20 minutes remaining in this 75-minute race. Bobby Childs, still your leader in GTP. yet to take a pit stop, much like Eduardo Lorente running in third. We assume Bailey Petrowski will be elevated back to the lead in GTP once Childs takes his pit stop. In GT3 Pro, Mike Dan from Orion Racing is your leader, with Michael Brooks running second and Yago Morris running third. The two wrong stuff Porsches there, second and third. And in AM, Chuck Labano, who is yet to pit, your leader, with Leo Dragotta running second, Dre Divock running third. And if we take a look at that gap between Dragotta and Divock, still only about 2 seconds, Larry.
Yeah, so Divock doing what the smart thing, which is stick with him. Don't have to push, don't have to do much of anything, just got to stay within that 10-second range of Dragotta, while Labano still needs to come in for that pit stop at some point.
And I'm fairly confident now that Bobby Chops is just going to try and run his GTP Cadillac till it's empty.
Perhaps.
And we'll see here as Childs only has a couple corners left. We'll know soon enough if he's going to pit in as he's coming through the final corner now. And yeah, he's staying driver's right. He'll be coming down the pit lane.
There's some damage on the back of that car, as he's going to follow Labano as the two leaders of their respective groups are finally going to make their way in. There's definitely damage in the back of Bobby's car, though. That left rear has got a lot more tire exposed, as there's Chuck in for his one and only pit stop. And look at this. Look at the gaggle of GTPs going through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, it looks like the opening laps.
Yeah. Reeves, Lorente, they're right there together. Behind them, one of the Dragon Sport Dragottas. This is the battle for second in the race. They're about 6-7 seconds behind Petrowski, but it's a good little scrap going on for the second 2 steps on that podium. Don't know that Reisman's got any pace left in him to try and catch up to these guys. 4 seconds is doable, especially with traffic, and there he is, currently in 4th. Thinking maybe, just maybe, there's a podium if he can hustle his bustle and get up there in the next 20 minutes. Also, he's wearing the appropriate livery tonight.
Yes, he is.
I like this. I like seeing everybody get into it. We haven't seen anybody wearing a helmet other than VR helmet, but an actual race helmet. I haven't seen that yet tonight. Just dropping hints for Bobby for next time. He's my money pick to put a helmet on. And
yes, mine as well.
I'm not asking him to wear a helmet.
I mean, some people need them more than others.
I'll let the audience be their own judge on that. As Reisman, look at him relaxing down the straightaway. It's what you got to do. 75-minute race. You got to relax your arms. I'm hoping that Bruno Bellney's taking those opportunities. He looked like he was working so hard in that Porsche with that rig. I'm hoping he's taking those opportunities to rest those arms onto the straightaways.
Actually, it looks like he's in a mosh pit.
I'm telling you, it's got to be exhausting.
It's got to be.
Hats off to Bruno for being able to pull 75 minutes, plus qualifying time, plus practice time. He's probably been at this already, an hour and a half tonight, maybe 2 hours.
All right, and Bellney's going to move aside and let the 199 machine of Eduardo Lorente through. And
I'm noticing the gap from Lorente in third to Reisman right there in the blue Cadillac in 4th.
That's closing down as Lorente's lost a little bit of ground to Reeves.
As Reisman just exits stage left, and he's going to end up taking a bit of a penalty to come back on. No damage, though, but he's certainly going to lose a lot of ground. He's now actually lost a position as Ben Rose sneaks in.
Up. And I think we've got Aaron Beaver in the 97 machine closing things down as well.
Oh, boy.
This could be just not drastic, but this could be just horrible for Reisman.
Yeah, he was right there on the verge of getting to a podium with Lorente right in front of him. Now he's 8 seconds back from there, and also behind Rose. And as you mentioned, he's got Aaron Beaver right there on his tail as well. So we got 3 drivers trying to get to 4th place, and maybe the speed enough to get up to 3rd as Bellney slows.
I'm wondering if he's out of fuel, but he's coming down the pit lane. He may have just underfilled the car on his.
Perhaps.
Well, we'll see if he can make. He certainly doesn't have to worry about the pit speed at this point. But let's see if he can get the car back to his pit box.
He should be able to, assuming it is just a fuel issue. It's possible.
Well, luckily for him, he's in one of the very first pit boxes on the pit lane. And so Bruno Bellini takes his second pit stop. I mean, Larry, it takes a lot of extra gas to run that rig, I guess. I don't know. All right,
so we've had some changes up here.
Yeah,
as Lorente has had an issue because now Ben Rose is third, Ryan Reisman's fourth, and Aaron Beaver's fifth. And actually, well, he was until Dibble just took fifth. He and Aaron Beaver have a good little battle going as Lorente must have had a spin or an issue. He's dropped all the way to eighth.
So big changes at the top of the GTP field. However, Bailey Petrowski, our leader, just turns fast lap, Larry, and he is running. He's running over a full second faster than anybody else in the GTP field currently.
He's kind of checking out, putting a stamp on this thing up at this point with that 8-second lead over Ryan Reeves. Ben Rose, though, might want to start checking his mirrors because Reisman's coming back and he's bringing Dibble and Beaver with him. And Dibble might be the fastest car in the track outside of Petrowski right now. So we'll keep our eye on him. There's Aaron Beaver, again, running in sixth, right behind Dibble in front of him, but Dibble just got past him. There's Dibble. Again, he was involved in an incident earlier in the race after running a strong second and third spot there with Lucas Sidor and had the big spin, had to recover. Dibble now kind of driving like a man motivated heavily.
Yes, maybe not possessed, but certainly motivated.
Well, look at him. He's only 2 seconds behind Reisman and another 4 seconds behind Rose. So about 6 seconds back from a podium position. Who would have thought that a half an hour ago?
Yeah, after taking a drive-through penalty, after having that incident with Sidor.
Yeah, and you can see Reisman. And Rose, again, it's just about 4 seconds in front of that. So Dibble, if he can make up ground through this very difficult section of the track, this is an apex there, car sliding around. An hour into this thing is pretty exhausting. Look at the slide in this car. It's a long car to be sliding around. Look at the grip he's got, though. And look how the closing already on Reisman. Now just 2 seconds in front of Dibble. But Aaron Beaver, only 1 second back from Dibble, probably even feeling some draft right now on this front straight. Tanner Dibble just set fastest lap of the race at a 28.81. So yeah, like I said, he's the fastest car in the track right now, bar none. And he's now just about a second and a half behind fourth place Reisman and 6 seconds behind third place Rose, as we've got 15 minutes left in this race.
That's right. So with 15 minutes remaining.
Oh, wow. I don't know who that was, the BMW that moved over, but smart move.
And so with 15 minutes remaining, again, Bailey Petrowski, your leader in GTP, currently has about a 7-second advantage on Ryan Reeves in his Acura. And then in GT3 AM, it is Leo Dragotta, your leader, but Larry, he only has now a 3.5-second advantage over Dre Divock. He needs to expand that out to over 10 seconds by the end of this race if he hopes to keep the win in GT3 AM.
Joined us late.
Second.
He was in an incident with Eduardo Lorente in a GTP car early on. He spun from it, but then was assigned blame, and he's got a 10-second penalty coming post-race. So, yes, it's going to get very interesting between Leo Dragotta and Dre Divock. Looks like third place Labano is not close enough to catch Dragotta on the 10-second swing, but you never know. There's still 14 minutes left.
Yeah, there's still plenty of time there. And in GT3 Pro, Mike Dam from Orion Racing, he now has almost a 14-second advantage over Michael Brooks from The Wrong Stuff. His teammate, Iago Mores, now running in third, another 10 seconds back from the 83 car. Chris Thorman just off the podium.
Good little battle here of these guys kind of mixing it up as you've got AM, Pro, and AM between Dragotta and Copeland.
And Larry, look at this, the The incident that we saw a little bit earlier between Bruno Belny and in his GT3 Porsche and the 414 of Ryan Reisman, no action taken. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that Belny is still on the pit lane getting repairs.
Yep. And Reisman is still driving like that man possessed. And there he is, still dragging I think he's got Tanner Dibble behind him. And Dibble, I think, is so fast. Dibble may be resting at nothing to try and get past this. He might just want to go zipping by Reisman here. And if he does, they've got a lapped car in front of them as they're trying to avoid. There's a big slide from behind them as well.
Big
I think that
slide through the final corner.
That might have been Ian Patience back there. But as it is, look at Dibble now, trying to get down the front straight and get to the outside of turn 1 to get around Reisman. Dibble has his eyes set up on Rose, which is still 5 more seconds in 12 minutes.
And Dibble's going to have to be very late on the brakes, and he is.
Wow.
Sweeps around the outside of Ryan Reisman. And Larry, when they were at about 1,000 feet, I just did not believe that Tanner Dibble was going to be far enough alongside to make that pass, and he was so much later on the brakes than the 414 car.
He is screaming around here right now. He wants that podium as he dives to the inside of one of the T2D entries. He's going to continue on and already put quite a bit of gap between he and Reisman behind him. GT3 leader Mike Dam.
Currently with almost a 15-second advantage now over Michael Brooks. And Dam lapping about half a second a lap faster than the Brooks Porsche currently.
Lapping about half of the GT3 field in the process as he just got around Russ Ruddock a little bit ago. You can see Russ in that BMW in the background, a lap down. But Mike Dam really had that battle early with Iago Mores, and then once Iago came in for the pit stop and they got separated, Mike just laid the hammer down and has just been clicking off lap after lap and just pulling away. And then of course Mores had the spin earlier, and he's on a bit of a recovery now, trying to hold off Thorman for that third and final podium spot in GT3 Pro.
All right, let's jump back here. This is the battle for third.
Yep.
As we've got Rose and Dibble in the Porsche. And,
so Rose must have had an issue because Rose's last lap's a 34.5 compared to Dibble's 29.8. So 6 seconds gain from Dibble to Rose
just
on the one lap alone. Yeah, so Rose now, all the pressure's on. He's got a cool picture of a race car behind him. Looks like an old Williams F1 car, if I had to guess.
All right, let's take a look and see exactly what happened to the number 5.
He comes up in and just locks the rear brakes going into the chicane.
And Larry, we've talked about how tight that chicane is there, and maybe just had the brake bias thrown a little bit too far to the rear.
Yeah, sometimes as the race develops, you've got to continue to monitor and adjust that brake bias. The balance of the car will change. Sometimes you get a little too much heat, especially if you start throwing the car around under pressure and you're sliding the car. You probably don't need as much rear bias or you'll lock up. All that's done is bring Tanner Dibble right up into this. So you watch now, Rose going to use the bit of a draft off of the 62 at Brockway down the front straight. Every little bit counts.
Rose appeared to open up a little bit of an advantage on that last lap. Matter of fact, Dibble at last time through almost a full second off of the number 5 car's pace there.
Yeah, I think most of that was the second sector, I think, where Dibble probably had some traffic, but Dibble's back on that pace now. Rose able to cleanly get around another one of the cars there around the 100R. Going through turn 6 and 7 here, and we'll see what kind of run Dibble gets off the same corners right behind him. It's about 9 minutes remaining. Again, they're all about 20 seconds back from Bailey Petrowski with Ryan Reeves in second place in between them. But Dibble doing everything he can to close this gap and dispatch of any sort of traffic to get to Rose as quickly as he can.
And, Larry, I've been looking briefly here at Leo Dragota. Is that Leo
right
or is that
there.
Lucas that
That's
they're
Lucas
coming
there.
up on? Yeah, it's Lucas. Leo now expanding his advantage over Dre Divock to a little bit less than 6 seconds. So I mean, he's now opened things up since the last time we checked in. He stretched out another 3 seconds or so. But you know, as you mentioned, you know, we only have about 7.5 minutes remaining here in this 75-minute race. It's gonna be close.
Yeah, Divock has
for
got to be
Leo.
careful. Divock's got to be careful not to give up too much, letting any of the GTP cars through. He needs to keep that under 10 seconds if he wants to win this race. And there he is, blowing off little steam. As he's still within that 6 seconds, he's less than 10, so it's good. But he can't lose sight of Leo down the road. Do wonder how the front tires are holding up. I have not driven the GT3, the new GT3 Porsche that's been developed. The old one used to really wear those front tires hard. Maybe they fixed that a little bit on the balance with this newer model, but you get into a race of this length and tires start running down and the cars get a little bit slippery one end or the other. It's tough to maintain that same rhythm you did about an hour ago.
All right, let's jump back over to the battle for the last step on the podium in GTP. And there we go, as Dibble now pulls right up to the back of
And
Ben
that was
Rose's
contact,
Cadillac.
I think.
That's,
I think it was contact with 78 of John Casey, as Casey was in the Ferrari, may have lifted a little bit.
And got Rose a little bit unawares there. And Rose had to check up. So we'll see what the stewards have to say about that. But Rose, for the time being, is still managing to hold off the 963 at Dibble. Let's take a look and see what happened here. And
He gets to the inside of him, and it looks
Yeah.
like Rose just taps that right rear corner of Casey. I wonder if Casey was thinking he had more room left under him, but look at that. All kinds of more contact now for Casey. Even got in the
I was
back
going to
of
say,
running.
Casey, I think, came right across the front of, I think, I'm not sure if that was Brown.
Might have been Matt Brown now in front of him.
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, this is getting very intense right now, especially with this Rose and Dibble battle, as well as everyone else. These guys, Mike Dan's going to say, you guys go ahead and take your battle right on through. I don't
Take
want
every
any part of
last
that.
inch of pavement that you
Yep.
need. I'll
Mike
just hang
Dan
out
wanted
here.
nothing to do with that.
And there's the word, Larry. Ben Rose in the number 5 Cadillac is assigned incident responsibility. He will have a drive-through penalty here with 5 minutes remaining in the race, and that is as close to a death sentence as you can get. I mean, when you're looking for a podium.
Well,
That
the
is gonna
problem
move
is,
Tanner
he's
Dibble
gonna lose that podium. But I'm looking at
Yes.
the gaps. It's only 10 seconds to Aaron Beaver back in 6th. He's gonna lose 4
he's
or
going to
5
lose like 3 or 4
here.
positions.
So it's awful. It's the right call for the stewards. It's just awful that it happens because he was just in such a great battle trying to hang on to that podium with Dibble behind him. And for Ben Rose, it's one of those maybe almost had himself a podium, but maybe next time.
That's right. All right. So he comes in now to serve the penalty, and Ricmotech goes by. We're going to see Beaver pass here in just a moment. So move Aaron Beaver up into 5th. Drop Rose back to 6th.
I don't think Lorente or Bobby are close enough to take a spot away from Rose, so he should hang on to 6th, but we'll see. As there's Aaron Beaver there coming off of 2, and then we've got this battle going on. This is Thorman with Iago Mores and Lucas Dragota, who's lapped, I think, in between them.
And so Thorman currently running 4th in Pro, and Iago Mores, who had been as high as 2nd in GT3 Pro tonight, currently trying to hold on to 3rd place for the wrong stuff.
Thorman trying to get there as well. He's just making his way through that traffic. Lucas Dragota, the lapped car. Oh, no.
Oh, wow.
78, that would be John Casey after the incident. Yeah, he was the one that Ben Rose had contacted. Casey then gets the unsafe post-race penalty.
I think that was the re-entry after the incident there.
I think it was.
As he was trying to get the car spun around, and we saw him come right across some traffic.
Yeah. Mores looking good here. Maybe he's going to get himself back into that podium as he's sitting there right now with all of about 3 minutes to go. See if he can hang on and hold off a hungry Ferrari Chris Thorman behind him.
And Ian Patience in his GTP Porsche comes down the pit lane, and Larry, good chance that maybe he ran out of. He was needed a splash of gas to get to the end.
And the fact that we're watching a replay means it was probably
something else.
An exciting way in, and well, I'm guessing he needs front tires based on the lockup his left front just did. That was interesting. He's going to try and knock at the unsafe re-entry. Jeff Jacobs goes on by.
So Ian Patience, and he's still on the pit lane now, as we've got just a touch over 2 minutes remaining here in this 75-minute run to the checkered flag at Fuji Speedway. There is, we haven't shown him for a while, but Bailey Petrowski, your current leader in GTP.
Should be 2 more laps, as we're just about a little under 2 minutes. Lap time's about 1:30, so I figured 2 more laps, he'll get the white flag next time by. Petrowski 13-second advantage over Ryan Reeves. Dibble is fast. Dibble's still one of the quickest cars on the track.
Yeah, but he's got about 7 seconds to eat up to get up to Reeves, let alone pass him.
And there's the graphic. Don't know if he's going to have that pace to get there. He's going to have to need a little bit of help, but within 2 laps, you never know. Anything's possible here on Monday nights with 2 laps to go. We've seen it all.
We have almost seen it all tonight.
So keeping our eyes on this is the Ken Copeland. He's pretty far back, about 12 seconds back from his Chris Thorman, who's in class position ahead of him. But he is just ahead of Dre Divock, who is in the middle of that battle of the AM category. Divock's the critical one here. 7.5 seconds now behind Dragota. Again, 10-second post-race penalty coming to Leo Dragota. So Dre Divock needs to stay with Ken Copeland for the next lap and a half. As Bailey Petrowski, your race leader, is going on by.
Slicing through.
And he's going to get the white flag. All these drivers should see a white flag this time by. Now they will, as Bailey is on past him. So one more time. There's
there you
that
go. White flag is in the air. Thank you, Barney. As Bailey Petrowski comes down to turn 1 for the last time here this evening. And so we'll continue to watch to see whether or not Dre Divock can maintain speed, or if he loses any more to
he closed up a little bit. But we have the other podium up for grabs right now, and that is this one.
Ooh.
Between Yago Mores and Chris Thorman. And I'm wondering if Mores may be light on fuel, as we saw white flag come out just before the hour and 15 minutes.
Thorman had been a couple of seconds off, Larry, when we last checked in.
And I'm wondering if it's a fuel issue for Mores, as everyone tries to time this thing to right around that hour and 15. And
we just saw Mores go into the shadow realm there for a moment. Let's see if he reappears. And he has, but I believe
he's still in front of him.
Yeah. And this has got to be very disconcerting for Chris
Now,
Thorman.
I think they have to go one more lap, I believe. They have not seen the white flag yet, these guys. As Petrowski's behind them. Yes, there's Petrowski. Now, Petrowski can pass them. If he can pass them, the race will be over for them, but I don't think he's going to get there, which means those guys have got one more time around to race for that last podium position in GT3 Pro.
Yeah, and it looks like Petrowski let out of the throttle, Larry. He is going to come across the line and take the win here in round number 2 of the Ricmotech World Challenge. Leo Dragota will take the win on track. Here it's going to come down to what Dre Divock does. Divock finishes 8.5 seconds back from Leo Dragota. We think that Dre Divock is going to be awarded the win tonight in GT3 AM.
I think Yago Mores may be running out of fuel. He's now 7 seconds behind Chris Thorman for that last podium spot. Those guys are still hot on the track because they didn't get passed by your race leader.
That's right.
Mike Dam, though, still has to finish this thing. in order to get this win. Hopefully he's got enough fuel on board with a couple of corners to go and then half a straightaway.
All right, so in the meantime, we think Labano, well, we know Labano finished third on track, and Labano finishing 16 seconds, almost 17 seconds, I think, back from Dre Divock, should take that last step on the podium. Whereas in GTP, Petrowski takes the win, Reeves second, Dibble for third, and now coming across the line, taking the win in GT3 Pro, his second win in a row, Mike Dam from Orion Racing in his BMW M4 GT3, finishing second is going to be Michael Brooks from the Wrong Stuff in the number 83 Porsche, and Chris Thorman. He's got fuel to get him to the finish. We think he's coasting down the front straight, Larry.
Well, he's got 20 seconds in hand, because Moraes, I don't think, is doing more than putzing around the track at about 20 miles an hour.
Thorman makes it across the line, so he is going to finish third. Moraes, Larry, I don't think, based on the fact that Copeland had already crossed the checkered flag, I think that Moraes, if he just parks the car here, will still, although he wouldn't have taken the checkered, I think he'll still finish in third.
I think Moraes will get the fourth spot.
Or fourth, I mean, not third. I'm sorry.
I think you're right. I think because Copeland was already a lap down to the race leaders. So Moraes, I tell you, anytime I see that close of a white flag come out to the time limit, I worry about this exact scenario. Everyone times their fuel so perfectly, but they end up doing what's essentially an extra lap. And remember, had Bailey Petrowski just
not laid off the
stayed
throttle
in it and gone past these guys, their race would have been over, and Moraes at least would have been right there with Thorman for a drag race finish. But in the end, Moraes is going to finish fourth. He's going to get a little bit of help from his teammate there, Dre Divock, to get back up to the photo opportunity here. Or at least to get to the finish line.
At least to get to the finish line, and he's almost there.
He needs help to get to the checker.
Actually, I think Dre is more interested in the photo op, that he may not push Moraes all the way to the checker.
He might just get him across the checker and stay right there.
Oh, here we go. Oh, is he going to take him down the pit lane?
Well, maybe he'll finish the race in the pit lane for Yago Moraes. So that's teammates right there. Good teamwork and the Wrong Stuff team.
That's right. It's downhill coming into the pit lane. All right, so Larry, there you go. It's Petrowski, Reeves, and Dibble in GTP. It's Dam, Brooks, and Thorman in GT3 Pro. And in GT3 AM, we believe it's going to be Dre Divock, then Leo Dragotta, and then Chuck Labano. So let's do this. Let's take a quick break. And thanks to our partners and sponsors. And when we come back, we'll talk to some of our podium finishers here from Fuji Speedway, where you've just seen round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Proforma Elite and Buttkicker here on Apex Racing TV. We'll be right back.
Allow Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
All right, and welcome back, everybody, to Fuji Speedway, where we've just watched round number 2 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech World Challenge, presented by Performa Elite and Buttkicker here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, starting to see some of our drivers here show up in the green room, and this is going to be awkward. Should I bring in Leo Dragota first, or should I bring in Dre Diva first? From GT3 AM. Let's do this. Why don't we bring in Leo Dragota, driver of the number 118 Dragon Sport machine.
All right, Leo Dragota joining us here. Leo, you finished in the lead in AM on track, but I think that post-race penalty is going to knock you down to second. But quite the up and down night tonight. Traffic looked a bit hectic out there. Tell me a little bit about it from your side.
Yeah, I mean, I gave it my all at the end, and it's that penalty was like, it was definitely my fault. Like, we were definitely into that stint, and I just went straight for it. The car wouldn't steer, and I had some contact there, and that got me the penalty. But it's a very good race. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good pace tonight. It did look like at the end, we were watching closely, that gap between you and Dre. It's a really good battle between you guys now, a couple rounds into the season, but you tried to get it to that 10-second mark. It wasn't quite enough, but I'll tell you and Dre seem to have a good little rivalry going, don't you?
Yeah, I think tonight also was just about keeping those tires cool, because if you don't keep the tires cool, you're just going to overheat them, and then they start to wear faster, and then it was in a pretty bad position at the end because I just felt like I was losing time to Dre, and because the tires were done, so I pitted a little earlier, and I mixed up the fuel because I had the fuel set for a longer stint, but the tires couldn't make it, so lost a bit in the pits because maybe I was going to undercut him and get that tire advantage. But yeah, I hope me and Dre can continue this because it's always fun to have a rivalry.
Yeah, it looked like a lot of fun. You guys had a good battle, and it's going to probably be here all season long. So great job tonight. You're still going to hang on to that second spot there, Leo, for the Dragon Sport Racing. So good job there, and we'll probably see you again in about 2 weeks.
Yep, see ya.
All right, there you go. Leo Dragota from Dragon Sport Racing, finishing what we believe to be second tonight here in GT3 AM. Let's now move over to the Wrong Stuff's Dre Divock, who finished second on track, but we believe took the win tonight in GT3 AM.
That's right. You had to be sweating it out there as that race was winding down. You probably knew that Leo was going to be getting a... what's that?
Said he was smoking it out.
He was.
Oh, you saw that, huh?
Yeah.
We might have seen that. As we've got you live on the screen now. This is awesome. I love.
Oh, nice. Oh, I can look at the camera. Hi.
Yeah. But you had to be sweating it out though at the end there. You knew that penalty was coming to Leo, and you had to stay within the 10 seconds. But man, you were right there. You were looking. I'm sure you knew what that number was.
I definitely knew what the number was, and I couldn't tell you how much those GTPs were holding me back in Sector 3. It's not their fault. The hard pass, place the pass, it was holding me up, and then I had a couple back markers hold me up too. So I was like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna lose this really fast, and I was just trying to keep it. Then I almost ended up beating Ken, at the final corner. I got a good run off of the last turn. I almost got Ken too, just for another spot, for a fun spot there. But yeah, that was a fun race. That is a tricky track, but I absolutely love that.
Yeah, and it looked like you managed to have enough fuel on board, but one of your teammates did not. So I saw you try to push Iago there at the end to get him across the finish.
Yeah, he hits me up. He's like, "Can you push me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give you a little push into the pits there, buddy."
That's good teamwork there to help him out at the end there. But for you, it does mean you get the win here tonight in the M category. And I was just talking to Leo. You guys have a good little rivalry going on here in the M class.
We were at a good battle. Leo's a great driver. I saw last season with him, and we had some good battles then. And I saw him in the last couple races. I was like, oh, he's getting a little quicker here and there. Now he's pretty quick. So I need to put some more time in, and I need to make sure I keep this lead now. I think I might be holding on to first or in the championship right now. So hopefully.
Yeah, well, awesome run tonight. It was crazy hectic traffic out there tonight. If you can survive that, it means a good victory here for you. But I know you've got some good teammates that they rely on you to push them, and I'm sure they help you a little bit as well. If you want to give them a shout out.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to give a shout out to Mike Brooks. We sat around and really tried to hone in my skills at this track. I was just struggling for a minute, and Sunday Then wait, was Friday night. We got some laps in and really helped me out and get some more time in there because I was a good 4 or 5 tenths off him, and then he got me a couple tenths. So thank you to Mr. Michael Brooks.
Yeah, always good to have teammates kind of help you through all that stuff. But tonight, victory is yours. So congrats on that. We'll see you again in a couple weeks.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
All right, there you go, everybody. Dre Divock, your winner tonight in GT3 AM. Let's move over now, Larry, to GT3 Pro, where we have our winner tonight. Second win in a row for the driver of the Orion Racing BMW M4 GT3, Mike Dan.
All right, Mike, not a whole lot of teammates decided to join you out here, so you're kind of having to do it solo, and you end up coming away with a victory. But that first half of the race was a pretty intense battle with Yago.
Yeah, I don't know where they all went, but really good race. I was, quite the battle with Yago at the beginning. I was just, I knew he was going to have pace, and I was really just trying to take care of the tires and not really give him any sort of opportunity. Obviously, he made one himself, but I thought the first half of the race went very well for me.
Yeah, it was great to watch you guys. You guys were just nose to tail up until those pit stops started, and at that point, were you looking for an opportunity to pick? Because I think Yago pit first, and then you kind of came in about a lap or two later. Were you thinking you wanted to make sure you stayed close with him, or was that just your best time?
A lot of the time, I kind of have a target lap, and if the race is sort of going to plan, then I'll stay with that target lap. Try to be the most efficient I can out of the pits. I was always planning on pitting on that lap.
Okay.
I'm not sure what happened to Iago after that, but my plan was to take 2 tires as my left sides were going to be really worn throughout the race.
Yeah, this place just kills that left side of the car. But for you, I don't want to say it was cruising, but it certainly allowed you at the end of the race to have some flexibility as the GTPs would come roaring through and to give them all the room that they needed. And tonight, they needed a lot of room tonight.
Absolutely, yeah. I had to stay on my toes. I mean, I had a big lead, but I could go away really quickly.
Yeah. Crazy night. It's an interesting track, but for multi-class racing, it seems to be a lot of fun to watch. It perhaps a little stressful from your side, but yeah. But for victory for you and for the Orion team, you end up being the only one here, and you end up at the top step of that podium. But I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank for helping you get there.
Yes, sir. Obviously my teammates, everybody at Orion. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting. Frank at Ricmotech. Kevin and Jeff for putting this league on, and all of those who helped, Bobby and Russ Reddick. Thanks to, our sponsors, Huffy, JRT. They make it what it is. Thank you.
Awesome job again tonight. Victory for you, Mike. And get to go savor this one. We got a couple weeks till we come back.
Thanks, guys.
See you in a few.
All right, there you go. Mike Dam from Orion Racing, your winner in GT3 Pro. And Larry, I think one more person to talk to tonight. And that is our 2-time winner now. He's won rounds 1 and 2 in GTP, driving the number 115 Petro West Cadillac. It's Bailey Petrowski.
So, Bailey, a crazy night tonight. You end up with the victory. Well earned. You had the pace, but boy, that first half of the race with the couple of the other rivals there made things very interesting, didn't it?
Yeah, that was probably the most intense first 30 minutes of any of the races I've had so far. That was just insane. I wasn't expecting to have all 3 of us, be pretty much matching pace the entire time, and I was so happy when I got by in turn 1, lap 1. But yeah, it was just so difficult trying to keep them behind with how quick they were and trying to get through traffic.
Well, you had a pretty good view then, I think, of the incident between Lucas and Tanner. I think you had to probably go, avoid the incident and, diving left or right to get around them. At that point, did you, for a moment, think maybe your race was going to end as well?
Oh, yeah, my heart dropped. But, yeah, I was going around the corner, and I couldn't see very far ahead, and all of a sudden I saw smoke, and out of the corner of my eye, I think I saw a car barrel rolling, and just, heart dropped so quickly. I barely avoided it too, or felt like I had to go off track to avoid it. But I
Yeah.
feel like I got really lucky because traffic held me up a couple corners before and gave me that little bit of a gap. So I think I would have been caught up in it if I was within a second of them.
Well, traffic was interesting tonight. Yeah, we saw you had one spin. We saw a lot of traffic just sort of intermingling. We had a lot of penalties tonight handed out. How do you manage that? How do you avoid that on a night like this where it seems there was contact up and down the field?
Honestly, it seems just, keeping it clean and just trying to avoid not being too aggressive. I feel like I learned that in the first half of the race. I got too aggressive and at least went wide while trying to pass a car and then lost both the positions because of it. But after that, I was able to sit behind, take it easy, and save tires. And from there, it's pretty easy to just maintain the race, be less aggressive with traffic, and just let it come to me.
Yeah, well, it's clear tonight at least. There's pace there in the rest of this field, so you may have managed a couple wins here early, but I think your rivals are coming for you when we get to the next round in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, this is going to be a tough season, I think. I think it's going to be really close, but I imagine it's going to be really fun in the races to come.
I'm looking forward to it. Anybody you want to give a shout out to tonight for helping you get this win?
I want to shout out my family. I want to shout out my friend who just got married. I always blank when it comes to this. I want to thank our sponsors for the series, for making the series possible. Thank you guys for commentating on these races. And thank you for everyone that watches this series. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Well, Bailey Petrowski, awesome job tonight getting another victory here for you. But I think this season's going to be a long, drawn-out one. You got to get them early. You got to get them when you can. So congratulations on the win here tonight for Bailey.
Thank you. Have a good night, everyone.
You too.
All right, there you go. Bailey Petrowski, your winner tonight here at Fuji Speedway in the GTP class, driver the number 118, probably 115, Petro West Cadillac. Let's try it again. Petro West Cadillac. There we go. All right, so Larry, let's start wrapping things up here from Fuji. And first, I'd like to thank, of course, our great sponsors, Performa Elite and Buttkicker. And I want to thank Zach Jenkins, community manager from Buttkicker, for checking in with us tonight. And so let's take a look at what we have coming up on the schedule. All right, so starting off next week, Monday night, September 25th, it's going to be round number 3 of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It's going to be at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Please treat our hosts next week with grace and class, as both Larry and I are going to be at Virginia International Raceway for the SCCA's National Championship runoffs, but that's not a reason for you not to watch Monday night. So again, that is going to be at Indianapolis. And then in 2 weeks, October 2nd, it's going to be round number 3 of the World Challenge for our GT3 and GTP cars. We're going to be heading down to the home of the beautiful red clay at Michelin Raceway Road, Atlanta, for another one of our 75-minute races. And then, remember, come January, the Touring Car Cup for MX5 Cup cars and GR86 Cup cars starts back up. I think it's going to be season number 24, if I remember correctly, for the TCC. We're going to be starting in January, and we'll give you more information as we get closer to that. All right, so for Larry Lefty McLeod, for Lee Thompson, I'm Greg Ginsburg. Remember to join us next Monday night here on Apex Racing TV for Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.